All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Finance Junkies. Vitaly, you want to tell the audience what you said to me when we went live?
I said some man offloaded something on his face. But
That's
anyway.
that's kind of rude, but let's see what Carl's reaction is.
Hello?
Hello, what's up?
Yo, what the hell happened to your fucking face?
Vitaly thought someone busted on it, so
Busted a nut
Chris
on
is,
his
Chris is the only person who knows what's going
I was
on.
going to say something a little more gross, that you were doing something at a certain time of the month.
Chris, can you explain to these
Degenerate.
white people what Carl's is not white, but you get my point. What's going on with my face?
Did you just misrace me?
Yes, I did. I misspaced.
These white people.
I know what it is. It's some transgenders jerked off on him. He's got
There you go. There you go. See,
no, it's a festival of colors. It's called Holy.
Festival of Jizz.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah.
Oh boy. Podcast is devolving.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so we're here. We're live. Big, not big announcement, but quick announcement. Podcast is going from 4 days a week to 2 days a week. Announcing that live. I think you guys have seen. It's just impossible for us to make it every single day. Vitaly's busy. Chris is barely sleeping. So going from Mondays and Thursdays now on the pod, which I think will be better because it'll give us more content to talk about in between the days. And it's more special sometimes when you don't have as much. Like I went to a buffet over the weekend. I did not enjoy the buffet. There was so much food. Like it wasn't enjoyable enough to eat all the food that was there. So I know with content, more is usually better, but in general, it's just like getting really, really hard to make every single day.
Don't you have 3 shows you do every day?
Yeah, but I can manage it myself. Trying to get a whole band together for, that's the hard part. Me, myself, yeah, I got to work hard, but
Okay.
4 people is tough every day. Living wage investors admit your grandmother called she wants her tablecloth back.
Ouch.
Yo, everyone's been making fun of that fucking tablecloth. It's been bad, dude.
What is that, by the way?
What happened to your
I'm redoing
setup
it
back there?
Yeah, I'm redoing it. We're doing the whole thing over, but I haven't been able to.
Can we start with painting the bricks?
No, they're real bricks.
I told him
You
to
can
get
paint
an
real
office.
bricks, buddy. I don't know if you heard that. You can paint.
Vitaly, I told him to get an office in the city or something, man. He's becoming a real big podcaster now.
You should do a WeWork office space.
Well, okay, so you want to start with that topic? You want to start with that?
I mean,
someone's
got to.
No, I disagree. I think you milk this as long as you possibly can without spending any money.
I agree.
And then when you're big enough where it doesn't mean anything to get an office space, then you go
Are you
get
kidding
one.
me? Have you seen Robin Hood lately, bro? Have you seen Robin Hood? He's
all on
good.
paper. It's nothing's real yet. Nothing's real.
That's true. That's true.
Don't. All kidding aside, don't stay in that office as much as possible. By the time you get out of there, you should have enough money where you'll buy the office building and people will rent space from you.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't. If I could live with my parents right now, you kidding me? If I can get back in my mom's womb right now, I would.
Oh my God! Oh, thank you.
Back in there, I'll be like, I've had enough.
So speaking of real estate, Adam Newman at one point raised $4 billion for WeWork. SoftBank gave him $4 billion. I think it was worth $16 billion. Ended up being worth $46 billion. They couldn't file a proper S1. They did like some creative accounting. If you guys saw the documentary, it was ridiculous. Street wouldn't let them go public. Company collapsed. They gave him $1 billion to leave. Pandemic happened. It's a real estate company, not a tech company. Got delisted in November. Now he's back trying to buy these guys for $500 million, which is half of what he got paid to leave. Basically, that was a severance package. And he raised $350 million for a real estate startup from Andreessen Horowitz 2 years ago. So a couple of questions here. Number one, if you're the VC that gave him $350 million and he's getting ready to buy his old company for $500 million, as a VC, are you thinking, what the hell is going on? And number two, is this going to be the coolest thing ever if this guy buys back his company that he ended up losing? Let's start.
I think it's pretty good.
Vitaly, go ahead.
I mean, I think it's pretty good. Look, he went from nothing to around 46 billion, even if it was overvalued, right? Whatever. Literally, he can create value. The guy knows how to do it. So I think VCs like to bet on people like him who they're hoping he can do something similar again, even if it's half as good, right? And he knows a lot more this time around. So he's a better entrepreneur now, not a worse entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's got his own capital too now. He's got his own capital too compared to the other thing. I did want to show you guys something. The one thing I'm noticing is when it comes to real estate, a lot of people, they tend to focus on just your traditional spaces. And what's very interesting is a lot of people are actually figuring out ways to create value and create new spaces that not a lot of people really would consider. So here's an example of something that I was looking at earlier today. It's a really interesting concept. So do you guys see this right here? Do you guys see my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, this is called a personal warehouse. Okay, I know that sounds a little weird, but when you look at it, essentially what someone is doing is taking a large commercial space, creating these warehouses, but the warehouses serve a functional purpose, like something like this. You see where they can actually have a customized little studio with like a second floor kind of thing. And it's a very interesting concept where, like you can have your own space, and yeah, like a man cave. Yeah, this is pretty much what they're going for, and the price is enough that it's something that's reasonable. And so I think it's a really amazing idea how people are coming up with these creative solutions to space that normally would just get unused or wasted, especially in the commercial side. Because right now there's a lot of commercial real estate that is like lower tier stuff that basically is not going to get rented anytime soon. So the leasing rates don't work out. So instead, why not just tear it down, turn the land value into something like this, where you can actually now sell the condos. So basically all of these offices, like these personal warehouses, they're like condos. So basically now you can sell that and generate, number one, you get your capital appreciation out of it, but then you also gain like, some money on the maintenance. So it's a very interesting concept. So I'd say, Amit, if you can find something like that in Jersey, you should look for something like that, especially if it's close to home. And the reason why I say that is because I think you're starting to graduate to a more professional podcasting system. So you want to start inviting people to physical, like come over and we'll just do like an in-person podcast. I mean, how many times? I mean, I get it. It's really economical for where you are, but
the Meet Kevin thing would probably be better. I mean, Meet Kevin's huge, tens of millions a year, and he's doing a house. He has his house, and then he bought another house a few blocks away, and everything is in that house. Even some of his employees live in the house. And
if I did start a studio, I would buying a house probably is the better idea.
That actually makes sense. Yeah,
10 years,
especially in Jersey.
That house, you'll be able to sell that house for whatever, and the business.
It's an investment.
Mortgage. Yeah, the business will pick up the mortgage.
Especially in Jersey, you could probably find like a multifamily where you could have your own space at the top and then rent one middle one out, and then at the bottom turn it into like a podcasting space. So people, they could drive, like let's say they fly it from all over to Newark and they literally go right to the studio. So now you actually have some physical space. You can decorate however you like, so.
Okay, so what are your thoughts, Carlos, on WeWork? This guy actually.
Well, real quick, how new is this idea of breaking up the warehouses? I'm bringing up my old office. I used to have an office in Williamsburg, and this was in 2000. And that back then in Williamsburg, it was all basically everything after Berry Street all the way to the water was just warehouses, abandoned warehouses. And so what they started doing is, they were all like printing presses, like they would have like old print shops that would do like make clothes or print like newspapers back in the day. Yeah. And they just divided these warehouses up into offices. They put a car in the middle.
They weren't sold. They were rented. So
and we rented out. That was my first space, was one of those.
So these are actually, instead of that, they're actually custom built. So they're not necessarily like your traditional convert the warehouses into lofts, because I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
But instead
they did that. Yeah. They converted them.
Right. This is more like greenfield stuff. And the funny thing is, like, they're doing it, they're taking the concept and doing it all over the country right now. So there's a lot of locations everywhere, so if you see, like I said, it's one of those things for someone who's like an entrepreneur, someone who's like a business person. Let's say even if you're just like a one-man mechanic and you just want some space where you can work on cars, you could buy a jack like this, work on cars. So I think what it is a lot more people are catering to the entrepreneur right now, because I think the entrepreneurs are out there trying to do more, right? So you could now have a single person company, And it's very interesting. Like I said, it's a very interesting thing. But they have inventory all over the country right now.
Did you see that prediction? Did you see that prediction after all
right
the,
here? So, yeah.
the prediction after all the generative AI stuff that we're going to see the first company on Wall Street, billion-dollar company that's one person?
Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
You saw that?
Mhm.
I mean, that's
We
coming.
already see that, right, dude? There's people doing their own thing for like by themselves. Not a
Oh, like
billion.
a Kylie Jenner, right? She ran her business all by
Yeah.
herself. She was a billionaire. It was private, but you're going to start seeing these companies trading publicly with like 1 or 2 employees. How crazy is that?
So if you're a VC who gave Adam Newman $350 million, for those that don't know, it was a company called Flow, I believe. He's building shared apartments. So it's like WeWork where you share office space, but for apartments. And he already had like about 500 million in real estate properties he already owned, which made it really attractive to give him another 350 million to just acquire more. Do you think he gets too distracted if he buys WeWork back, or you like that?
You're describing dorms.
Yeah, literally, dude. I don't understand why they gave him the money.
Because they're broke. It's not a good
Well,
thing.
hold on. He's basically saying if you can't find a roommate yourself, then we'll find you one.
It's about communal living, and
It
this
sounds like a hostel.
He's had this idea for a long time. That's the way he intended like WeWork to sort of go. He had these experiments at WeWork.
He was very
Yeah.
communitarian, correct?
Wait, say that again. Experiments? What are you talking about?
He had experiments at WeWork when they were younger, basically communal living. He actually tried it out using, investors' money to see if
Because he
communal
lived
living would work.
he grew up in a kibbutz in Israel, and that was very communal, and so he wanted to take that same
A
philosophy.
kibbutz, I think it's pronounced, but
Kibbutz? Oh, I thought it was kibbutz. Okay,
I don't
kibbutz,
know.
but it didn't work in WeWork. So now if he buys the WeWork company back, which I don't know what you're buying back. You're buying back like what is the moat of real? Not what is the moat? What is left? Like the IP? Because there's no tech.
Well, no, WeWork is a brand. So if
He's
he
buying
can
the
buy the
brand.
brand for $500 million, that's kind of amazing.
But there's no real estate attached to WeWork, right? Like they don't own any buildings.
Well, they have leases. They have
So-
long-term leases, right?
So essentially, here's the successful part of WeWork and then the failure part of WeWork. The concept is nothing unique. There's no IP in it that makes it a unique thing because there's other companies out there that do co-working space. There's something called Industrious. There's so many. Like literally, it's not a concept that's unique by any measure. It's nothing that they could patent. The thing with it was that Adam Newman was able to convince Mayoshi-san that this was such a brilliant idea that Mayoshi-san threw money at it. And so
$4 billion.
what happened is now Adam Newman, with all this additional capital, said, our goal now is growth. Our goal isn't profitability. Profitability comes later, which is often the main problem that most companies have, right? Especially when people get punch drunk on good times. So Adam Newman basically took out long-term leases all over the world, not just 1 or 2 cities, but all over the world at exceptionally high rates. Now, the reason why is because at the time they wanted to grow really fast so they can IPO and everything. So all that mattered was growth. Now, COVID hits, pandemic hits, all this stuff happens. All of those spaces are no longer necessary. So all of a sudden now, eventually the profitability that was going to come never came and basically drug the entire thing into a
99%
negative situation.
No, I got delisted, dude. It's gone. It's not even on the stock.
Yeah. The point was, this is a very similar model to most Silicon Valley companies.
Well, it's OTC. It's OTC, right?
Yeah. Initially, when you come out and you create a concept, you're going to have a shit ton of years where you're unprofitable. But the minute you keep scaling higher and higher, your fixed cost tends to stay the same, but your scalability provides you that additional money for profit. So as an example, if you look at the early days of Uber was not making money. They're paying drivers out more than they were collecting in fees. But the point was, you wanted to be that company that was everywhere, that was synonymous. So WeWork was able to scale themselves to the point where they had offices in almost every major city on the planet. So that kind of scale, now people were like, oh, I'll just do a subscription office. Industrious, none of these other co-working spaces had the ability to be transnational and international. So what happened is WeWork's idea and concept was good, but the timing really fucked up. And the other problem is when he was structuring a lot of these leases, he sacrificed a lot of due diligence and a lot of protection. in order to basically, grow fast. So right now, let's say you want to grow fast, you could throw money around like crazy, buy the best equipment, buy the, the latest gear, blah, blah, blah. But then if you can't make money off the idea, basically now you're going to get hit with creditors. And that's basically what happened.
I mean, it is a good idea as a service. You're telling me that you could say, rent office space from them, and then 1 month you could say, I'm going to go to London. I just want to get some office space under my current plan and just get some space out there. I want to go. So basically, you could be a global company without having to actually own the real estate. It's not a bad idea.
Okay, let's talk about this thing. This will be a fun topic, but we got to talk about it. So tomorrow, DWAC, Trump's SPAC, is de-SPACing to DJT. That'll be the ticker, DJT. It'll go public at $6.5 billion. It'll be housing the Truth Social company, which is doing $3 million in revenue. And Trump has 60% of the stake, which means he will be worth $3 billion. Well, he'll be worth like $4 or $5 billion, but he'll make $3 billion. He's not selling, but his stake will be worth about $3 billion off of this thing going public. This is an incredible thing to see. Obviously, Trump's been having a lot of legal problems, pulling a bond, legal fees, all this stuff. You get $3 billion off of a company doing $3 million in revenue. That's like a Twitter clone. Not a bad deal. The interesting thing I saw over the weekend is that Jeffrey Yass, one of the main investors in the company, is also a big investor in TikTok. And Jeffrey Yass has basically been, in my opinion, giving Trump the money he needs to fund his legal fees without literally giving him the money, but rather using his prop Wall Street trading firm to just invest in DWAC, so that when DWAC goes public, Trump has the stake that he needs and he can collateralize that to be able to get a loan to pay off these payments. So 2 questions. What do you think is going to happen to the ticker when it goes live? Do you think it's going to sell off? Do you think people are going to buy it? Do you think it's going to become a meme stock? Number 2, do you think Trump actually gets a loan against this and uses this $3 billion stake to potentially pay off some legal fees, and this kind of finances his campaign? Let's start with Carlos. What do you think?
I think so. If you've seen recently, once the verdict was handed down, I think to Mr. Wonderful's point, a lot of investors, a lot of people with a lot of money got upset, and they felt like that had crossed the line. And so I think you're starting to see a lot of billionaires starting to throw their money behind him. Not even so much because they support him, but it's like a
Wait, why do they get upset? Why do these billionaires get upset?
Because of the rules. Basically, what Trump did, like this was a crime where like nobody lost any money, right? The Trump paid back the loan, and so the other VCs, other billionaires are starting to throw their support behind Trump, and this is a way that's completely legal. If his thing goes public and he can get that $500 billion, $350 bond, then they'll essentially make the problem go away.
That's the thing. It's completely legal. You just have to buy shares in it. That's it. Like literally, you can buy shares in a presidential candidate's company.
Right. And then they'll leverage that,
making him wealthier.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of what you've been seeing against Trump has been backfiring to different degrees. And I think this was maybe one of those straws that broke the camel's back, where now I think you're going to start seeing money flowing in to Trump. So it's good for him.
It's good for my dad too. He invested in this a year ago, I think.
He's going to buy this. He's going to buy.
I told him not to buy, but he has it. I hope it goes up.
Watch. In a month from now, he's going to be giving you stock advice. What you got to do is you got to buy and hold.
You got to sell all your Bitcoin.
You got to all that Bitcoin. I told you. Right. Yeah.
35%.
You don't short MAGA.
I got to check his portfolio. He probably doesn't even know. I'm going to go check it and tell him he's doing well today.
Yeah, he's going to be a guest on Jesse's show next week.
Okay, Chris, your thoughts.
Did no one watch Star Wars? Like, does no one watch it? Like, Star Wars has this, the Emperor comes to power because of this, where, the Jedi are just so forthright and they come after him so hard, and then he gets scarred. It's like this, like the wounds have left me scarred. And basically now he gets the sympathy vote, and the sympathy vote ends up getting Palpatine into power, and then he becomes becomes the Emperor, blah, blah, blah. But the point is, the more these guys try to attack Trump, the more likely it is that they'll get him elected. So my thing is, I'll be honest, no one trusts the media. Like anyone, I was watching the interview with the Mexican president, and basically the Mexican president had some valid points. But, if you don't toe a certain line, these guys come after you. And this is how the media is now. The media is bought and paid for by one side of the political spectrum, and anything that you say has to align with their worldview. And if you say anything contrary to that worldview, then they come after you and they call you. And I think the line that he said was that still resonates with me. He said, stains don't go away, they smear, something like that. Do you see that? So basically it's all about accusation. So right now, how many times did we hear Trump is a Russian plant? Okay, like completely proven to be a falsehood. But now no one ever goes back and says, hey man, we made a mistake, like this was all like a fake made up story.
Well, that was the bloodbath comment from last week.
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
You saw what happened after that, what happened to Candace Owen.
Yeah, and then you have this thing with Letitia James. The platform that she ran on to become attorney general was, I am going to sue Trump. You like literally that is the definition of corruption right there, where you already have a preconceived notion.
Show me the man and I'll show you the crime.
We should back this up and ask, does the MIT know what Star Wars is? And do you know who Palpatine was?
I know the Luke Vader guy.
Luke Vader.
Skywalker.
Luke Vader.
That's the dude, right?
He's like, is that Darth?
Who was the Sith Lord?
I don't know what the Sith Lord is. I don't know the Palpatine. I don't know what you guys said. But I do. You know what's interesting? I turned on. I was gonna think this is the most random thing I watched yesterday. I didn't even watch it. It was in the background. I turned on the Avengers Endgame.
The first one?
No, so I saw Iron Man.
It's like the last one.
I watched the last one, and it was so boring. The first 20 minutes, I was like, "What the fuck? How did this movie make $3 billion?" I didn't get it.
Because it's longer than 2 hours, right? Isn't that movie like?
I hate to say this, but I actually align with Thanos, bro. I was on that freaking train the other day when I was in New York. I was like, bro, Thanos he should have been like.
See, he doesn't get that reference.
No, I was Googling who Thanos was last night. I was like, why is this motherfucker so like? Why is he so important? So,
why is Thanos for 2024 for president?
Okay, so would you buy DJT just for the hell of it? I mean, if it's gonna go up, would you?
Not interested.
I did plenty of that speculation between 2020 and now. I don't need to do it anymore.
Yeah. There's lots of things going up. You don't need to chase everything going up. That's not how you make real money.
Anyone should chase
yeah, there's a lot. We're like 24 days. We're going to start having on Bitcoin. It's like, are you kidding me? I'm not looking to spend any money.
It's just dude. The company does $3 million in revenue. It's going to be worth $6 billion.
You better sell. I better tell my dad.
I mean, there's an argument to be made. The stock price will pump. He'll get the bond, and then the price can do whatever it's going to do after. But he'll get the bond.
Also, someone tagged me in something. I'm going to pull it up in a second. But there's a clause they were reading through the S1 where he can sell. Like there is no lockup period. I got to pull it up to verify. But someone was telling me there is no lockup period. Like we.
So what? He could take $3 billion. He could.
You know what I learned about recently from your channel? We got to think about put spreads here.
Dude, put spreads are fucking amazing, dude. These things are incredible.
I know. I saw your post
just for the hell of it to understand it. It makes sense.
I saw your post. You need to get laid. I get it.
I was really taking notes on a Friday, dude.
Friday 3 a.m. Friday 3 a.m. Virtual girlfriends need to.
It was actually 3 a.m. I was up and late taking notes. Okay, so outside of Trump, Reddit's up about 65%. What are your thoughts on Reddit?
Well, we talked about it on Friday. VITALY, we didn't get your opinion. Oh, we talked about it on Thursday.
I think we talked about it before. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be chasing Reddit. That's another Twitter basically in the making.
Okay.
I think their whole thing is data.
But that's not a good thing, by the way, what I said. Okay, so
why do you think this is pumping though? That's my question.
People are buying it. It.
I mean, IPOs do pump and then eventually they collapse. So who knows where they collapse? I have no idea, but I'm not going to be chasing this one.
What's the ticker on that one?
RDDT.
I mean, I would make a bet a year from now. It's probably lower than it is right now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the only thing I would say, or go ahead, Carlos.
Just look at all those companies. I mean, look at someone like Uber and Lyft, and there was a consensus that they would become profitable. Look at them, and they were what 60, 70. Then they went right back down to 15. They're right back down. So here's the thing: if you really do want to buy Reddit, if you're really into it, wait 6 more months. You'll probably get this at
exactly.
$15, you know.
Remember all those people in Rivian who were like dying to get in Rivian at $140 or whatever, and it's. What is it? $10 now?
don't know.
Going lower, probably.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So if you really do want this company, you're probably going to get a better price. So close to the bottom that you won't give a shit what happens to those shares. He'll always be in the green after a year. But why? I don't know. I don't see this as.
Chris, do you think this IPOing means the market has enough liquidity to support companies like this?
I mean, so I can't necessarily speak about Reddit itself, but one of the things that I've been monitoring pretty heavily over the last couple of weeks is just the credit markets to see, like, okay, our big time investors, what are they doing with capital? Are they getting back into the market? And typically what you'll see is a bottom up approach where you'll start to see credit get bought first, and then you'll see equity eventually come and get bought too. So I think we are getting to the point where the FOMO is starting to kick in with a lot of investors, not just retail, but the big guys are also looking at things. So your traditional hedge funds, your PE funds, they're looking to put capital to work. Now, what does that mean? That means that money is starting to slosh around a little bit. And when that typically happens, you'll see valuations go a little bit over the top with a lot of companies. So I'm not surprised that Reddit is getting bought up like this. But personally, I wouldn't try to risk buying into it right after the IPO, only because you will see some level of euphoria die down, and then you'll see the price come down to like what it's naturally supposed to trade at. I think Reddit made the smart move by IPOing at a time where generative AI, and then they had the deal with OpenAI, they come around at the same time. So there's a lot of positive sentiment around the company because it's an AI play, and that's what everything is getting bid up right now. So right now, if you're a company, everyone just mentions AI and you get a valuation boost. So Reddit right now is doing that, where, oh, you need to have Reddit's data in order to train your model. So the value of Reddit's user data is significantly more than what we're projecting out. So I personally understand what's going on. I don't know how long it lasts for, but these cycles, they can last a while. So
Well, Chris, what did or go ahead, Carlos, then I'll ask a question.
No, okay, but then what do you say to this? I mean, yes, companies that play in the AI space do get a multiple increase, but Reddit's not actually in the AI space. We just all recognize how valuable the data that Reddit has would be, but they're essentially supplying data to the companies that will actually monetize that data. You know what I mean? It's like making lithium. It's like making lithium for the batteries, but that's not, the money's not in like the raw lithium. It's in the companies.
Yeah, but if you use that same argument, electric car prices go higher and everyone gets bullish on electric cars. There's a subset of investors that are going to start buying up lithium, and riding lithium higher.
In terms of multiple, in other words, what I'm saying is, yes, they are part of the AI revolution, but it's really more about a data play. And the more deals they can work with people to access their data, that's great for them.
Well, that's the point. No, but that's the point, that they're a tertiary AI play in that the data that they have can be utilized for AI. So the value of the data is more than what it was pre-AI. Yeah. So if this LLM thing never came out, like, with OpenAI and everything, the data that Reddit has in the general market sense would not be nearly as valuable. So if Reddit came out and IPO'd, let's say in 2019, the valuation would have been sub 1 billion. But now everyone's like, oh, AI, you need all this data. They're going to do exceptionally well. So let's buy it, so that's what I'm thinking.
I actually can't find the market cap right now. Where is that?
9 billion.
Not sure.
It's about 10 billion. Well, so Chris, let me ask you this question.
By the way, WeWork is a $15 million valuation.
Yeah, he's given a good premium, 500 million. They should probably sell.
I mean, 15 million.
Chris, how did you feel about that? Because we didn't get a chance to talk to you last week, and you, Vitaly, as well. What do you think about what Jerome Powell did? I mean, he said 3 rate cuts. He confirmed that it's probably going to happen, and the market was excited. Do you think that was the right move on his part?
I think it was. I don't know. Like it took me a little while to try to understand what the background of everything was, because remember, you got to try to read the intent rather than reading the actual movement. And I think there is some data that's saying, hey, in the short term, inflation is sort of going up and reigniting a little bit, but longer term trends, you're starting to see a downward move in inflation. And I think instead of being behind the curve, I think what it is they're just trying to project out things a little bit ahead of time so that the market and the general business environment doesn't deteriorate all around us. So as an example, I would say that the same things that we were talking about, I think about a month or 2 months ago, prices of homes are starting to come down. I'm actually starting to see price cuts, cars. Actually, whether we bought a new car, a Toyota RAV4 hybrid, we got a pretty good deal on it below MSRP.
So you didn't get the Mazda, you got the Toyota instead.
Yeah, we ended up getting the Toyota. Okay. So they tried to pull some shady shit at Mazda, so we didn't go with them. But it's every car dealership. That's what they do. But this one was just a little bit too blatant, in my opinion. That just made the whole thing sour. The car was great. We loved it. It was awesome. So we went down to sit for financing, right? And we said outright, look, Mazda National has a deal for 2.9% APR for 60 months. That's what we're going to go with. And so I feel bad for the sales guy because he went and had to go talk to his manager, went to the back and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, yeah. And then he printed out this fucking document that said, this is your monthly payment. And I'm looking at it. I'm just like, bro, I did the math in my head. You're trying to charge me a 7 fucking APR. What the hell is this? And so he's like, and then the thing is, that's what they do. They try to make you sign paperwork that doesn't have the APR listed. And so people are they look at that monthly payment and they just say, okay, yeah, buy it. It's good. The thing is, it was $100 more per month than what I was supposed to get. 100 times, you multiply that up by 60 months. That's $6,000 of additional money that dealership would have made on me versus what the national offer from Mazda financing was. So I told the guy, I was like, you fucked up on this, dude. Nah, I'm not, we're good. I walked the fucking, they tried to entice, oh, we'll take $2,000 off the price, blah, blah, blah. I was like, look, whatever trust was there is completely gone now. You think I want to get my car serviced by you guys who just tried to pull this shit right in front of me, even though I came in and explained to them that I'm an educated buyer. I know exactly what I'm looking for. I know the terms, I know the rates, I know everything that's there. So the one person you shouldn't be jerking around is a guy like me. And they tried it. And what's fucked up is that the manager's office was right by where me and my wife were sitting. And so when he went to go talk to his manager, you know what this manager fucking said to him? Oh, don't change the price, change their mind. It's what? It's you motherfuckers.
Once again, just to point out how much easier it is to buy a Tesla, not dealing with any of this. Everything is up front. You're not negotiating with anybody. The price is the price. The rate is right in front of you.
It's not fun.
You know what your payment is. You have 3 options for the car. You pick your color. Okay. Whether you want 19 or 20-inch tires. And it's just because I dealt with that with the RAV4 too, by the way, with the same thing. And I did get a little hosed because I went for their service plan as well, whatever. So these people are the worst. I just never want to be inside a conventional car dealership again. It's not worth it.
Yeah, luckily Toyota was a lot better with everything. They said up front, here, look, these are the terms. This is what it is. They said, can you reduce it down from MSRP? This is how much it is. And they're like, look, this is what we can do. This is one of those models that's hard to get. I mean, they tried to pull that shit. I knew that it wasn't that hard to get. I could go to 3 other dealerships, around them, and it's the same shit. The package that I wanted was there.
Right. And
so I just threatened to walk out. They fucking reduced it down. I said, fine, I'll shake the deal. Let's get it done. Call it a day.
What? You want air conditioning? You know how hard that is?
Okay, so in the context of the Fed, I saw median house prices were at 384, and you said cars are coming down. So you feel the Fed's getting it right, that inflation is coming down?
Yeah, I think so. I think right now we're at a point where there are enough there are enough data points that suggest that longer term inflation is coming down. Shorter term, I think it waffles a little bit. So I do, from what I'm seeing with the Cleveland Fed, you're starting to see a small reacceleration in inflation, primarily driven by energy prices, very similar to what we had last summer. But overall, the major things that have been driving the inflation higher, they're starting to come down. A lot more multifamily construction is starting to come up now. So a lot of those apartments are coming up. The prices on those apartments, the rents are starting to come down slowly. a lot more listings are happening. So the volume and the inventory of homes on the market is starting to rise slowly. It's nowhere near pre-pandemic, but it's starting to kind of creep up. And the good thing is, as inflation, as the Fed starts to cut interest rates, the number of buyers will go up, but also the number of sellers will go up. Because a lot of people are like locked into this 3% mortgage. So they're like, look, if I sell my house right now, I lose my 3% mortgage and I inherit a 7% mortgage. So that's unattainable, even if my life situation has changed. Whereas if the mortgage rates was, let's say, 5%, at least then it's like you can make a more justifiable argument saying, hey, I'll give up my 3% to get a 5% mortgage and only have to pay 200 basis points more, in which case it's still affordable for me. And whatever my lifestyle situation is gets better. Because I know right now, like my brother-in-law, they bought a house, they have a 3% mortgage, but his wife got a change of a new job, and her job is about an hour and a half another direction. Now, the thing is, they want to sell, but they also at the same time don't want to lose that 3% mortgage. So what is she doing? She's commuting an hour and a half one way, an hour and a half back. You know, and like how many days is she going to tolerate that? And I think that's happening across the country, where a lot of people are like locked into that 3% mortgage, but they're looking to get the fuck out. They want to get out, you know.
I've been watching a few videos specifically in Texas and in Florida that a lot of the people that when COVID happened, California moved away. Those were like the two main states that people went to. They ended up buying a lot of properties. And now with the returning to home, right, people are stuck in these mortgages in other states and trying to offload them. And that in those two particular markets that rent prices are going down and home prices are going down because they're coming onto the market and there's no buyers. So it's destroying the rental market, right, too, because that's the rents are coming down. And this is in several places in Texas and Florida. And I felt like we were talking about this, that isn't there a push again to allow people to transfer their mortgage from one property to another, the way we would, say transfer FSD from one car to another, where people can keep their mortgage but just change the property.
So if you have a VA loan, or an FHA loan, you can actually do that, where you can actually
do it automatically. They've sold my loan 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. So it has to be something that's either FHA or VA, and basically they allow you to do that, where it's called an assumable mortgage, right? Where you basically buy out the equity portion of somebody else and you inherit that mortgage. The only problem is a lot of homes are not FHA or VA, they're conventional loans. And so the bank is not like, hey man, I'm cool with you getting a 3% loan and I'm paying Joe Schmo 5.5%. If you want to leave, I'm snatching that 3% away from you.
And so this in the UK, I think you can do that, or it's more common where you can take your mortgage with you. In Canada and the UK, it's not as common.
Okay, so speaking of cars, we got to talk about this, dude. This broke like 20 minutes ago. Tesla gives 1 month FSD trial with new car purchases. Is this demolishing the 150, 140 bear case? If FSD is ready to get rolled out?
Is that right now? Because I've read that they're only doing that.
Dude, this article came out.
Oh, really? Damn. Well, Elon was saying that he would only do that when they're really close.
And he's been tweeting for the past week that 12.3 is the real deal. He sent an email today.
Listen, 12.3 is like, I've never seen so many positive reviews for something that's been out for so long, and where you always see your feed is flooded with a bunch of FSD videos. These videos have definitely been different. And I've been even reading things that whatever version 13 is like the official version.
Let me quickly pull up Meet Kevin's take on it, then we'll discuss. So Tesla sent out this email today. Elon said to everybody, it is mandatory in North America to install and activate FSD and take customers on a short test ride before handing over the car. So he's telling the salespeople in these, like, not dealerships, but these places, you got to show them FSD. And so Meet Kevin said, is this bullish or is this a red flag on margins? And is this kind of him forcing people to sell better because they can't sell FSD enough? So he's like telling the salespeople, hey, don't let them leave without showing them FSD. Or is FSD so good that like he's saying, hey, we have to show it off. They're definitely going to buy it. What do you think is going on?
Well, I could take it as first, I guess. He should have done this a long time ago, first of all, that he should have let people use FSD. And if he kept it at a lower price, even I would have bought it. I don't have FSD. I just have autopilot. So that should have happened a long time ago. I think that's true. But the reason he is doing it now, I feel, is because yes, the uptake in FSD is pretty low. So he needs to sell more of it, and that's just the bottom line to help Tesla, to help literally Tesla revenue stay high.
Dude, if FSD doesn't sell like hotcakes, Tesla's done, right? Like that is the bull case
Well,
of Tesla, right?
I don't
FSD
know.
has to
At
sell.
11,000, it's still, honestly, at 11,000, it would really just have to drive me everywhere by itself.
No, but you don't think it's, but what if you finance it like an extra $200 a month? You don't think you wouldn't do that? That's cheap.
It's just not worth it. I mean,
You wouldn't
it
pay
really
11,000 all at once. You would just pay the extra 200.
it really depends.
The
But
200
I think $100 a month is what I was going at. If he does $100 a month, I'm in.
Yeah, but at $199 a month, you can never pay it off, Amit. You can't do the 11,000 in installment payments. It's not like you just they don't have a financing set up that way. It goes on to the purchase of the vehicle, and you end up paying it in the monthly payments of the car. You can't say I want FSD now, but I want monthly payments. At least as far as
I see what you're saying. I think it goes into the
subscribe
monthly.
for $200 a month, but now you're just subscribing indefinitely.
Okay, so Carlos, do you think FSD is good enough where this thing is going to make the stock look really cheap right at these prices?
I think number one, he's doing this for awareness. I think that what they're finding is the people that are aware of FSD, the take rate is higher, and this is a touch point to just get those people in that doesn't really cost them. It's also just to open them up to the possibility and get them more comfortable being in a vehicle that's not driving itself, just to be aware that their own vehicle can do this out of the box the way that they're getting it. I think it's an optics thing. And I also think it means that they're getting really close, because he could have done this with version 10 or 11, but that would just mean that could turn around and backfire if you've now got more people complaining about buggy software.
Yeah, it would have been shitty FSD. There's no.
You don't want that. So I think him not being motivated by money. What do they have? $15 billion in cash right now? Like, they're not hurting for money. We know that they don't really give a shit about margins, right? They're not necessarily doing things for the sake of margin. So I think this is a sign that they're really close, and they want people to see what this thing is capable of doing, because there's about to be something in the news, which we would say like the FSD chat GPT moment, where you go, wow, it's ready. And he wants people to know that their car can do this right away and have like a personal experience with it. That's my take on it.
Okay,
Well,
Chris.
the problem with FSD, just real quick, the problem with FSD is a lot of older Teslas can't really have full self-driving because there's new hardware that's out. And so the people who bought it before, paid a bunch of money, can't really use it.
No.
So I think the subscription model is actually the better model, where they would basically say, hey, you're subscribed forever. We upgrade your hardware as we upgrade hardware. And
I believe, and keep guys in the chat would let me know that if you have hardware 3, this version of FSD will work with cars equipped with hardware 3. So what you're talking about is a really small portion of the very
so
old,
everything before 2020
or 18, something before that. Because they've upgraded.
I'm saying those people paid for FSD, by the way.
Sure, and they can probably still run it with upgrades to their cameras, as long as they have the new hardware 4 cameras
And the hardware computer.
Right, but they can update. It's the thing, they can update that. So if they're going to give it to you and you've paid for it, obviously, can't imagine they're going to tell someone who paid $6,000 for FSD a few years ago to come in and pay a couple extra $100 to upgrade the hardware. You know,
I mean, technically speaking, if you did, I mean, that comes out to be 231. So it's with a 5.5% interest rate, let's say, because it's going to be financed by Tesla. How much is that FSD cost? 12,000?
Yes.
$199 a month or 12,000.
Yeah, I mean, this is what, like, they're charging you about 4% technically for like a 5. Let's say you use it for 5 years, right? Ends up being 221 still. 3, or let's say 7 years.
If you got a loan,
7 years.
Went out and got a loan for it, right?
Yeah.
So
if you got a 7-year loan, it'd be like 150 with a 3%. So let's say right now Treasury rate is 5.25. See, I mean, that's all you got to do. It's like you're going to pay for like 7 years straight, which is typically the life of the car, right? So it's doable.
Here's the problem with it. Even me, we've had our car since 2021, and I'm kind of over it. There's nothing wrong with the car. I'm just like,
wait, you're over FSD?
No, I want a new car.
Wait, but hold on. Do you want a new Tesla or you want a new car?
Yeah, like I want a new Tesla.
Okay, but hold on. You first of all, also a question for the chat, because I'm seeing some very weird comments.
Guys, I'm the guy that every couple of years I just want a new car.
Why are people saying even $100 is too much? And Vitaly, I'm very surprised you said that as well. This is FSD.
I'm not saying $100 is too much. I'm saying $100 is a perfect amount.
Even 200. It's $200 for the thing drives you around. How is that?
But you have to understand. Okay, if
like that's the whole bull. I don't get how you guys can even say that 200.
Here's why 200 is too much. Because if you don't have a car right now and you decide to use Uber for everything, it's probably going to cost you $200 a month, let's say, to Uber everywhere or most places that you want to go. But you're paying $200 a month in addition to owning the vehicle and paying.
In addition to your $300 to $700 payment. It's not.
If you buy a Tesla, aren't you the type of person that has an extra $200 a month?
Who says we want to waste it on that?
Not the point. No, that's not the point.
I am
ridiculous.
so confused, dude. I thought the whole reason that Tesla was exciting was because of this freaking FSD. And now you guys are saying you wouldn't even pay $200 a month for it.
I told you that first of all like a year ago. Like this is not new information.
No, I thought you told when I was in your Tesla when we were driving to Cheesecake. I thought you told me $200 isn't a big deal. It's just an extra.
No. My thing was always in order for the masses. Even if I get it first of all for $200, I think the masses to get it $100 is where everybody's like, oh,
that's the one where everyone's going to get it, and it becomes the.
That seems like it's a no-brainer. Honestly, you don't have to think about it.
Subscription, right? That you just need to get, and every once in a while they raise the price.
$200, by the way, is what per year? That's $2,400. All of a sudden, that actually means something. So, I don't know.
So let me ask you this question: do you think mass consumers would be willing to pay $200 or no way per month for episode?
I don't think so. Only because first of all, FSD is not really FSD if you think about it, because you still have to monitor the car and keep your hands in the wheel and all this other stuff, right? It's not like you can just in the back seat say, Tesla, take me to AutoZone or take me to McDonald's, and it'll drive you to McDonald's.
That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about that version where Tesla assumes liability of the vehicle. Those are the two steps. You don't need a driver present or a steering wheel, and number two, that Tesla assumes liability. Once those two things happen, that's the
and wait, I'm not sure. What I'm confused about is in the most perfect scenario, Carlos. Let's say it does just drive you to McDonald's or whatever. Mm-hmm. Is that not worth $200 a month?
No, first of all, that's FSD.
Because then, what is the full case for Tesla if that's not?
Wait. Before you guys go into that, if you ask a car to take you to McDonald's and it gets into a wreck, who's ultimately liable for that accident? You think?
Well, you're bringing up a good point.
Yeah,
Tesla Tesla at full self-driving needs to take full responsibility when it's actually hands off. Don't pay attention. Absolutely, it's not that yet, by the way. So you totally have to pay attention.
That's what we're talking about. And look, when FSD 12 came out, the most important thing wasn't that it was done end to end with vision. It was what is the rate of improvement. We need to see that it's improving in the same way that we've seen the chat GPT models, the LLM models improve, because it's doing video in, and control out.
Wait, but Carlos, this is the scenario.
Let me just say this point. In the 3 updates we've seen since then, the improvements have come way faster and they've been dramatically improved. So what you're seeing is this exponential.
No, but see, I don't forget the updates. Imagine a world, even if it's 2 years from now. You jump in, it takes you to McDonald's, no problems, and if you do get into a crash, Tesla takes all the liability. Right. Let's assume that world. Is that world worth $200 a month?
Okay,
Hold
on. I want to change the topic.
Well, then what's the reason bull case for Tesla?
Let me tell you, this is what I was getting to. The bull case is not that I buy and pay $100. The bull case is that there's a robo-taxi network at the end of it. No, but that is the actual bull case.
Like
if you're saying
away, dude, robo-taxi.
But hold on, that's where all the money is going to be made. Where they're not going to charge $100. It's going to be a percentage of the actual profits. So
I thought the money was. I'm saying I thought the money was an FSD. I really.
For me, if that happened and they could prove that, and it's 1,000 times safer, right? And Tesla assumes liability, I would immediately make sure that my mom has that, taking her everywhere she's got to go. That's the end of my mother ever driving a car.
Would you pay $200 a month for
that? Yes, because I would know that my mother is safer. 1,000.
Not the robo-taxi, the actual car.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Would you buy your mom a Tesla?
And remember, that means she doesn't have to drive at all. So this is a different version of FSD, not the one we have today.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the best version.
Right, my mom is now safe. She can go and drive anywhere. For me to pay $200 a month, that would be that. Of course, that would be worth it, because I know she's safer than everybody else on the road. Right, Tesla's going to take care of the vehicle, and she never has to drive again.
Okay, so just to be clear, the best version of FSD, you guys would be willing to pay $200 a month, correct?
Well, first of all, let's just take this.
Let me ask you, what is $100 a month times 10 million cars? That's enough money for Tesla.
But that's assuming the robo-taxi, which I don't think is happening for a while.
20 million cars, 100 million cars.
I don't like that argument, because robo-taxis, I think, are so much more complicated than just FSD.
Forget about the robo-taxi. I'm saying just FSD, like you're saying. Yeah. I'm just saying my price point is still $100, where everybody who has a Tesla would probably want to use it, or 80% of people, whatever, 70%. So that'll become massive numbers within 5, 6, 7, 8 years as
But
they
I'm
have
confused why
millions and
you're
millions
saying-
of cars in the
I'm
fleet.
confused why you're saying 100 because Elon for the past 5 years has said it's going to be 12,000.
Well, he's just making a point.
No, Elon's saying it's going to be 100,000.
He's saying
I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Vitaly's making a point that $99 is probably a sweeter spot to get more adoption, but right now it's currently $200 a month. And you're asking, would you pay $200 or $99 a month? I do feel like eventually, yes, 12.3 or 12.4 or version 13, where it's completely autonomous, and I don't have to drive at all. Right? Especially like me as single parent, sometimes you got your kids and they're kind of annoying if you're driving by yourself. This is a concern sometimes. Now you can give more focused attention. If it's that level, yeah, I think I would pay for that. I would pay for that.
Chris,
I would definitely pay for that for my mom, and to make sure that she doesn't have to drive anymore. You know, or if I live in the state for her to visit, I would do something like that for sure.
This would bankrupt Tesla, dude. This would bankrupt them.
What would bankrupt Tesla?
This
Liability?
FSD thing for $100. Because the amount of liability that you're taking on with FSD. So here's the problem that you guys. So some people in the comment section are saying
we're saying no liability right now. By the way,
no. I'm assuming the world of liabilities. Like, what is your point? If we have liabilities, is that good or bad?
So let me just be very blunt. If right now Tesla, like the car gets into an accident and it's not Tesla's fault, it's the other person's fault. Even if that ends up getting proven, there are a crap ton of costs that are associated with trying to repair the car, fighting this out in court, doing all this other stuff. The amount of liability that Tesla would inherit would be way more than $100 a month. It would probably be closer to $500.
What you're talking about, what you're saying happens at insurance companies all over the U.S. every single day, and Tesla owns an insurance company with better data than insurance companies.
So it doesn't have to be their insurance.
Wait. But the point is, the point is this: you're talking about them assuming responsibility when they're sure that the vehicles are 1,000 or 10,000 times safer. So yes, they're still going to be accidents.
You can be safer.
You're making
Carlos.
Yeah. Yes.
You can be safer as the FSD, but if someone else hits you, there's no safety in that.
Being 1,000 or 10,000 times safer includes avoiding the.
No, dude, you can't avoid a drunk driver just because it's FSD.
You can't avoid them.
No,
You can't avoid them. You're right. But the point is, all of the other cases, except for those, you will be able to severely reduce, and you will also reduce harm, the bodily harm, where it costs the most money, the loss of life and damage. That's what you're going to end up bringing, greatly reducing. So hold on.
I want to agree with Chris in terms of the insurance part. Right now, I'm not expecting insurance to be separate. So I still think you have to pay for insurance in terms of just liability for having a vehicle. Yeah. Even if Tesla takes on some sort of a liability for it. But I don't think my payment of extra $200 a month that I pay now to Liberty Mutual is going away. I don't think that's happening. Because then you're right. The car payment should be like $300-400. So I was never saying that it should be free insurance and full self-driving. I'm saying just full self-driving, $100. I understand the liability part. You're going to have insurance, bottom line.
Whenever you engage that software as part of the prompt that it's taking over, is that Tesla is now assuming liability for whatever happens for the vehicle, you know?
That's a distant future. But I was actually referring to now, even if FSD is really good and it gets me 99.9% of the way there, I still wouldn't pay more than $100. That's all I was saying.
That's surprising to me, dude. I did not expect you to say that as a Tesla.
$200 is, I think it's bad pricing too.
Well,
99. It just sounds better. $99. FSD, $99.
And first of all, the incremental revenue to Tesla is kind of astounding. Remember, the software is there; it's done. It's nothing. I'm just paying them an extra $1,200 a year. Like I know Elon wants $11,000 or $12,000. I'm not going to give him that. He has to come down and meet the people where they are. What they value it at.
How much do you think is appropriate? 5,000 for full
99. Look,
if he lowered it to $5,000, $4,000, I would buy it today. Yes,
he's always talking about affordability as being the key thing. Bring it down to $99, and it's way more affordable for people. Period. Just make it $100. That I think I would at least get it for a month or two just to test it out, even right now. You know,
but Chris, the liability point is a big point. I didn't think of that. Like, if they have to assume liability. There's going to be accidents. I mean,
they would charge you. They would charge you. Insurance is different.
Insurance companies all the time. So what you're saying is accidents are going to bankrupt a company?
No. This is not insurance companies. This is Tesla assuming any problem that the car gets into they will immediately have to be responsible for.
Yes, but they're also doing that when they're sure that they're
Okay, so but here's the conundrum.
10,000
Okay,
times safe,
right, 10,000 times.
you know.
That's not happening anytime soon, right?
I mean, that's what the promise of.
I'm talking about Chris's version of getting in the car, driving to McDonald's. That's 10,000 times better. Is that happening even this year?
We've already seen this done with Waymo and Cruise. We've seen this done in San Francisco for months. Like, why do you suddenly think it's not possible if we've seen this done for years?
I see MKBHD grabbing the wheel before the thing like goes.
Okay.
Insane. That's what I see on you. I don't. Maybe Waymo's doing it better, but that's other.
And by the way, Waymo and Cruise are doing it in a limited scale with a gated system. And if you see those cars, they're still blocking traffic. They're still getting into accidents, by the way.
But
So
it's because those cars are fundamentally tackling the problem different than the way Tesla is. They're using a bunch of sensors and they are using high resolution maps down to like, within inches. Like that's what they're driving on. So they're not actually seeing and responding to the world the way Tesla is in the way of AI versus what they're doing, which is it's essentially they're on rails, right? They're on virtual rails, and anything that's different from what they're used to, they're going to stop. You're right. That's why they stop traffic. Teslas would not stop traffic in those situations.
I don't know, man. I think
I was just surprised that two big Tesla bulls would not be willing to pay $200 a month. And so the chat, I did not expect. I thought
there's nothing stopping either of us.
You're not counting
$200, dude. Like, how's it not worth $200?
Once again, you're not counting if they scale to 20, 30, 40, 50 million cars. Just do the math. The monthly revenue is fucking bonkers, even at $100.
Yeah, it's a ridiculous.
but okay. So how many cars are on the road? Teslas are on the road right now.
I think
Like
4 or
total.
5 million, 4 million.
I think they crossed 6. I think they just
Let's
crossed
use 5 million. Let me in the middle. 5 million.
Fine, do 5 million.
5 million. Wait till 2030 when it is more like 30 or 50 million or whatever it is. Then ends it's $99.
How many cars?
massive
How many
revenue.
cars are total in the United States on the road right now?
60 million. No,
So
30
you're
million.
telling-
30 million.
So you're telling me that
I
Tesla's going to have 100% market share?
think. Wait, let me
There's
just.
gonna just how many
I'm
cars?
not talking about
are
all
on
the United
road?
States.
Yeah.
Number one.
What do you
I'm
mean?
not-
Yeah.
Every year, 70 million cars are sold approximately. 60 million, 70 million
Yes,
cars.
you're correct. 70 million.
If they sell 10
Right.
million a year or so, forget about 20. They sell 10 million a year.
Right
That
now they're
flew
selling 1.2,
Two.
right?
2,
1.8.
right? So
2.2.
I think it'll be 2.2 this year or whatever, something around there.
It was 1.8 last year.
My point, if it goes to 10 million and it's even sustained at 10 million and they do get FSD, you're talking about a massive fleet. That's what you're talking about.
Basically 10 million times $1,200 every single year.
Their own guidance is they're aiming for 20 million by 2030. And there's still going to be roughly 50 to 80 million vehicles sold a year. So even at their own
They've been aiming for FSD since 2014. You don't actually think they're doing 20 million deliveries in 2030?
I think they could get there. Yeah.
Well,
I think
if
they-
it's
I
20, let's say it's 10.
hard to get there. I think 10 is reasonable, and that's still a lot.
Okay. I mean,
I'm just surprised you guys would not be willing to pay $200. I thought you guys, because I'm not. I wouldn't pay $200.
This is not new information. I know you're treating it like new, but I've always said $100.
No, not even you guys in the chat. People are like, I would never pay 200. I thought there was a ton of Tesla bulls, and I'm a Tesla bull as well. But like, I thought $200 a month is not crazy amount for a.
that's like saying to someone,
That's
like, you're a Tesla bull. Why'd you buy a Model 3? Why didn't you buy the S? And you're like,
Well, it's not that. It's just like,
no, buy the S.
It's a budget.
how could you not justify $200 a month if for the thing that drives you everywhere? Like, I thought that's such a big benefit.
On a personal level, for me, a $99 price point would be better, right? That's number one. Number two, the amount of driving that I'm doing right now is so minimal that I don't feel I should pay on top of that to have that be autonomous. So
There you go. Even if it's $75 a month, you people aren't thinking like the scale. That's what's important here. And the thing is, if Tesla gives you full self-driving like we're talking about, and they're charging you some minuscule amount, it means honestly, like
No, I
that
agree with
cost is nothing to them. It's so
I agree
ridiculous.
with it. I'm confused why Elon's been hung up on this 12,000 number for 5 years. Then why hasn't
Well,
he?
he thinks I understand the utility part, that it's worth more and more because the utility of the car improves, right? But the thing is, you and I know that in reality, when he releases real full self-driving, it's going to be extremely expensive for the people using it for business, right? 30% of their revenue or whatever it's going to be, right? That's the only thing that makes sense. I'm saying when it's that level. But in terms of people adoption, just regular folks,
needs to be cheaper. Yeah.
It has to be cheaper. It just had because it's a personal use thing. Look, I'll drive to Walmart without full self-driving. That's just the way it's going to go.
I think they arrived at that. I
Not
think
waste $100 or $200
I think
bucks.
they arrived at that number mathematically. So we're saying it's $12,000. There's 12 months in a year. So what do we say? In 6 years, 72. So we do 12,000 divided by 7.
I don't like the concept of self-driving.
I think I think they know the average amount of time that people hold their vehicles, and I feel like they saying 12,000 is say the sweet spot. So they say if they're saying to themselves $199 a month for 12, if you did $199 a month for 12 years, you would end up paying $12,000 to Tesla for that FSD.
Oh, but that's annoying, dude. For 12 years to have to pay $200. That's such an annoying.
That's what I'm
thing.
saying. Every month you're paying $200. $200. After 6 years,
Wow.
you would end up having paid what it would have cost you to purchase it outright. And if they don't let you transfer FSD from one vehicle to the other, let's say, then that's around the time when they're assuming, or I'm assuming, you're going to want a new vehicle, even if the vehicle's great. Like you're just going to get bored driving the same thing.
I'm going to come up with a very controversial thing, but I think people are getting some Tesla fatigue, and I think growth rate might slow down below 20%. So I think the number that you guys are throwing out, this 10 million a year mark, that's like decades, if maybe even more away than you think. So the growth rate
You
in Tesla
think
cars
20?
is
I
going
mean,
up.
that's fine too. 2033? Is that what you're saying? 2034? That's
Second?
possible.
It might not even get there.
Exactly,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm trying to think of like trying to guide them according to like the other manufacturers to see like what.
But you have to
First of all,
compare.
saying 2034 is not exactly saying that's a bear case. The big deal if people are waiting for full self-driving or 10 million cars or whatever, and it takes 4 more years to get there, a big deal.
No. People do care because we were, the guidance was for 20 million, and so they'll be just on the optics. That won't be good for the stock if they don't hit.
Well, he's not going to hit 20. I don't think he's going to hit
They don't
20
hit
million.
the thing is that we're talking.
I'm just saying.
We're talking about that
here-
now. We're talking about that now. The next gen vehicle, the price point of that vehicle has not been. We don't know that information yet, and they're going to have a van, which so apparently that van will be like multiple platforms can be built on the van. You'll be able to custom design the van. So so
here's a question. Okay, just how many cars do you think, like in terms of like total amount of cars, do you think GM sold in the United States, which is the largest auto manufacturer?
What? How many cars did
GM last year? How many did they sell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm gonna say 7 million. No, 8 million. 8 million.
Anyone else?
Oh, I don't know. I just saw
2.6 million, and that was I think 16% of the total. Toyota sold about 2.2 million. So
right.
I don't know where this. I really don't know where all this additional sales is going to come from to the point where they're selling 10 million a year. Because I mean, you're kind of landlocked by the number of cars per year, unless you're.
These are worldwide numbers. This is not. It's worldwide.
So Toyota sold 10 million cars in 2022. They're the highest number.
No, in the United States.
We're not talking only United States. So I don't know.
It's a worldwide.
Not a big gotcha.
But dude, who's buying a Tesla in India?
Like,
right. Well, not only that, but let's take one step back. So these guys just said, "Oh, well, it's not international." Which country do you think, like, consumers is paying $12,000 in median income countries that are way lower
I've already
than
said
ours?
I don't agree on the $12,000.
Even 6,000, dude. Who's paying 6,000?
That's what I'm saying. If you, as a U.S. consumer with a much higher median income, say no, then you think people in the other countries are like, yeah, let me shell out $12,000 equivalent in my currency? Probably not.
So you get them.
So once again, I think you're discounting
price.
First of all, you're discounting one.
But if you give them a discounted price, the revenue doesn't go up like you're saying.
You find the subscription price that you can that can be adopted by the percentage that you want in the country, and you charge that.
But that's not. That doesn't work. That's like Spotify charging $2 a month in India for music. They don't make any money.
Hold on. So you got to come into this with the premise. Like, I understand there's a lot of things going on, but you got to come into it with the premise that people will want Teslas over other cars. So I don't know if KRIS believes they'll want Teslas over other cars. I do believe that Tesla will have better software by 2030, 2034, that the other car manufacturers will not be able to compete on the same level as Tesla.
I believe that in the
If
United
that's
States.
the case, hold on. If that is the case,
a lot of them won't
that
even
means your 10 million Toyota cells of regular cars, I would hope Tesla can beat even, but I'm assuming the 10 million that just to match Toyota's numbers. So I don't think I'm being uber bullish here. I'm just saying they're going to be the Toyota of the future at this point. That's all I'm saying. But if they actually are the car manufacturer that is making robots and AI and doing full self-driving, come on, it's ridiculous. They're going to take over the whole fucking market because nobody else is going to be competing on the same level.
A lot
But
of
I'm not
these-
even thinking that. That's not even in my calculation here.
We
I
did
agree
that.
with that. I
We
agree.
talked about this the other day, that the top 10 companies by market cap, it's like the 80s and 90s are not, they're all gone. Every single one of them are gone. And I'm saying, you really think that GM, Ford, and these companies will still be discussed in the same way that they are now in another 10 years? I don't think so. I think the top 10 automakers of them will probably be Tesla. Then the next 5 will be all Chinese, and then you'll have 1 or 2 of these legacy automakers rounding out the bottom. That's where I think it's going. I mean, what?
agree with you.
So when you look at 10 years from now, you say, I mean, GM sold, I don't know how many EVs did they sell? Something like 40 or 50,000 EVs since 2020. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, but even if that's the case, the one part I agree with you guys on the robotics AI, but I agree with Chris that people in like Portugal, Brazil, like
Apple sells
Japan,
iPhones
they're-
all over the world, and they make a ton of money
no,
selling.
but they're not paying $6,000 over.
No,
4
I agree
years.
with that. I don't think they will.
They're
So-
barely paying $1,200.
Here's the question. Here's the
You're talking
question.
about having people access FSD. Once it's already done and written, it's nothing. It's all cream to the bottom line.
No, but
here's
they have to pay for it, Carlos. They still have to pay money.
Okay, and whatever, whatever
Hold
they
on, hold on, Carlos. If they so let's say yes, they're not going to pay 6,000. I agree with you. Pakistan ain't paying $6,000.
Pakistan ain't paying 6,000.
Absolutely, I agree with you. But what happens when Tesla starts selling their other models, whatever, for those different countries, Model 2 or whatever it is? Whatever car manufacturing was going on there dies basically as soon as full self-driving and Tesla are selling their vehicle and basically giving it away for nothing.
You're assuming
Who knows if it's
Pakistan
$5?
manufacturers- You're assuming Pakistan manufacturers die because Tesla has a $25,000 car. I don't think they die.
No. Once again, it depends as they scale and they enter new markets. They're going to obviously compete in those markets. But if they
don't
have full self-driving on top of it and the other manufacturers don't, at some point that's going to be important. I don't know what year this happens that it's important, by the way. I've always said full self-driving is far away. My point is that when it does happen, Tesla is basically a monopoly. Just like first of all, Microsoft became a monopoly with its operating system, right? It's the same thing. Microsoft took over basically the whole compute. Tesla's going to take over this portion of like whenever you need autonomy, they're just going to take it over. So that might not be in Pakistan. Maybe that's the country they don't get, but they get Europe, they get China, they get America. So there's plenty of room for them to make their 10 million cars without going into Pakistan, first of all.
Okay. It's a fun discussion, dude. And look, whatever we're saying right now, if the street thinks FSD is coming, the street's going to buy up the stock. I don't know if this thing gets back down.
The other thing, the other thing to consider too is like
like
a lot of what Tesla's been saying, or a lot of the places that Tesla's been saying they want to go, is now being adopted. This thing with the robot, now a bunch of other companies are doing this. You got to also assume within this, between now and 2030, there's going to be robots working in the factories. They're going to continue to lower the cost of these vehicles, where more and more of their profit, more and more of the revenue is going to be profit as they continue to do. And other companies don't follow suit. They're just not going to be able to compete. So the companies that not only have some sort of FSD solution, but also have robots working in the factories and also have like castings, et cetera, also have 24 volts so they can lower the weight of the vehicles, get better range. These are all these little things that Tesla has been doing is going to culminate in this next vehicle, which should be at a price point that will be very difficult to compete with, and they should have record margins at that price point. That's what I'm saying, and that's what I think is being baked into the Tesla bull case going forward. It's all those things, you know.
All right. Good stuff. That's it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for being here. I didn't tell you three guys, but I'm actually not going to be here on Thursday because I'm going to be in New Orleans. So it's going to be you three guys. If you, I'm literally. I just realized today. I was like, oh, I'm flying.
We can do Wednesday. I mean, what's the?
That might be possible. We might be able to switch it Wednesday. Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you guys know.
Oh yeah.
All right,
guys.
Good stuff. Thank you, everybody. We'll see you probably Wednesday night, 9 p.m. We'll keep going from there.
Happy
Bye,
holidays to Amit and
Later,
Chris if they're both celebrating.
Happy Holy to everybody. Good
I
night.
will. I will get over your red face. I will never let you forget that you did red face today. That's really not fair
Bye,
to the
everyone.
American Indians. All right, bye.